Don't get proud. It's mainly because of me.
Oh, all right, okay. I didn't understand what you said. I heard my name.
You know that for me this is a dream come true, because I had two films that I saw frequently when I was a kid. One of them was, we say in Portuguese, 20 Mil Léguas Submarinas with James Mason, based on the story from Jules Verne.
Oh yes, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
And yeah. I did James Mason on my submarine.
Oh, Captain Nemo.
Yes. And every other week, I did Count Dracula. I did you.
You have all my sympathy.
Yes, I almost did the same to you that you did to Boris Karloff. You took his place as a Dracula. I know that
I've never taken his place. No, Nobody has.
I know. I know that it's not especially good for you to be constantly attached to that film, to that phase of you by Hammer Productions, but it's inevitable. You did it so well.
Yes, I think you have to understand, if you're an actor, obviously the most important thing is to make yourself known. That people know your face, that people know your name, and they put the two together. Now, for the first 10 years of my career, 47 to 57, people said, we can't have him in a film, he's too tall, he doesn't look English, and so didn't get anything worth doing.
And you didn't look English. You're Italian blood.
That's right, and they said I wasn't typically British, and so I didn't get a proper job, didn't get a proper part. But in some ways it was a very good thing, because for 10 years I went all over the world, all over Europe mainly, and I worked in television, in radio, in theatre, in opera, in films.
In opera?
Yeah.
You sing opera?
I did. I can.
Oh, we must hear you sing.
Well, I'll think of something.
I'll give you some champagne.
And I learned in those 10 years, I learned and kept on learning, and I'm still learning. So when the time came in 1957 that I was offered the opportunity of doing something big, I was ready. I had the experience, I had the imagination, let's put it that way. That particular part started my career as an international actor. It was very fortunate. Boris Karloff, you know his name, everybody knows his name. He was a great actor, and a great friend of mine. And he said to me one day, the most important thing is find something that other actors cannot do or will not do. And if you do it, and it's successful, and you make your mark, and it creates an impact, you will never, ever be forgotten. And you will always be asked to work until the very end.
And he was right in your case.
Yes, and it happened with that part.
Did you actually enjoy doing that, eating all those?
But I didn't, you see.
You didn't?
Only in one, I think. Only in one.
Oh, that's very depressing.
It was all done by suggestion.
Oh.
What you don't see,
it's true,
what you don't see is much more frightening than what you do see.
In your private life or in the films?
Well, as my wife is here this evening,
oh yes.
in the audience,
let's have a toast with your wife. Gitte, please join us. I want to make a toast with you. Thank you. Christopher? Sit down, please. If you want to join us, here's a microphone. Feel free to join us. I'm very happy to have known your wife, and especially happy.
How long for?
For spent your honeymoon in Portugal.
That's right.
Did you?
Yeah.
Was it a success?
Well, we're still married.
Oh.
It's 35 years ago.
35 years ago,
35 years
yes.
ago.
Nearly.
That's another reason to be in the Guinness Book of Records.
Close, I would say, in our world. In our world. I came to Portugal about 40 years ago to do a film at sea of Cascais and also in Lisboa.
Do you remember the name of the film?
Yes, but I have no idea what it would be called here. It was called the Cockle Shell Heroes. Cockle Shell, that's a
Cockle
kayak.
Shell Heroes.
Kayak, canoe.
Here it would be called the Heróis da Treta.
I'm sure you're right. I'm sure you're right, yes.
But they pay me to do this, you know. Once in a while I have to be fun.
Oh, they do?
Yes, once in a while I have to be
Aren't you lucky?
Yes.
No, I did that, and then afterwards we came here for our honeymoon, and we came back again with our daughter, and I did a film in Leiria, and we came back again to the Algarve, but at the beginning it was here.
How old is your daughter now, Gita?
Do you know she's 32?
32.
32.
And you live close to her. You live. You're a close family. No, but I know her house is not as.
It's not too far away.
Yes.
It's on the other side of the Thames. And we bought her a flat about 3 or 4 years ago.
Oh, that's so nice. And you're a close family.
Yeah, it's very difficult if you're in my profession. I'm serious about this, actually.
I know it.
It's extremely difficult if you have children and you travel like I do. Now, when our child was very young and we were going all over the world, for instance, in the last 12 months I've been in 14 countries, and this is the 15th, and so on.
Doing what?
When they're working most of the time, yes, doing concerts, doing charity shows, or making films, or appearing.
Let's see. You have so many films. It's impossible to choose the best you've done because there are so many films. But we have a clip here. Perhaps we could talk about it.
Oh, that's it. Oh, yeah.
It's going to be all right. I promise you it's going to be right.
Don't leave me. Just for a minute. Just for a minute. Just don't leave me alone.
But Karen, there are injured people here who need help.
Well, you're supposed to take care of me. What's going to happen to me?
I'm sorry, my dear, but the doctor needs me.
That was a film I did. It was the first film that I did after we went to live in Los Angeles, and I did it in 1976, and it's called Airport 77, and that was with Lee Grant, who's a very fine actress. I did that film because I wanted to do a film with Jack Lemmon, who is a great friend, and also I think one of the best actors in the world. Wonderful, wonderful actor.
I second that.
One of the very, very best. And we had an incredible cast, you know, James Stewart, George Kennedy, Joseph Cotton, Olivia de Havilland, Kathleen Quinlan, of course, Lee Grant. But I think that people probably imagine that actors have a very easy, glamorous, not very hard-working life, and everything is done for them, or a great many things are done for them. Now, in that film, the plane is under the water. Some of you probably saw the film. The plane goes under the water, and we are still alive, and I'm an expert, underwater expert. So I go down with Jack Lemmon, and we start to look around to see if we can do anything. And the door explodes in my face, and all the water comes in. And the next time you see me, I'm all in a real mess with all the boxes and everything, and I'm dead. And he's got his mask on and his breathing. He comes over to me, and mine has been blown off. And he comes over to me and he puts his hand, oxygen over my face. And then he thumps me here, bangs me here, so breathe, you see. Now, actually, my eyes are open and my mouth is open, but I have to close my throat, because if I open it, the bubbles come out and you see it is a live actor. So you must be convincing, because the camera started there and there was no cut and it did this.
You have to look dead.
You have to look completely dead. Well, I've done a bit of that, but underwater I had to train to do this because I'm not a very good swimmer. And they said, you know, you have to do this underwater in this film. You have to be dead. And then he has to pull you out and then you have to go up to the top of the water. I said, oh, well, yes, that'd be easy. There's no problem at all, you know, thinking they would do it with tricks. And so I went to the swimming pool in Universal Studios with a great expert who was a German, Manfred Zendar, who was 73 or 4, something like me now. And I spent a week 10 feet underneath, getting used to breathing and seeing, you see. When we shot it, it was 10 meters in a tank. And I had a belt around my waist to keep me down. And there was the underwater camera, with the same camera and the same cameraman who did Jaws, Spielberg. And he was there, and there were the technicians, all in frogmen's suits, and the electricians, all in frogmen's suits, with their masks and their apparatus, breathing. And the man on the camera said to me, I could see him because I had the mask on and I was breathing, sitting there, lying there, and he'd do this. In other words, are you ready? And I would go like that, and then he would go this. In other words, the camera is turning. When that happened, the first thing that I did, take the mask off, and somebody whom I couldn't see, because I couldn't see anything, took it. And then I had to take a deep breath and hand it to somebody I couldn't see. And just...
All of this 10 meters deep?
Yes, and stay there like that. You know, with my eyes open and my mouth open, and no bubbles, for over a minute. That's a long time. And I did that for 3 days, 10 meters underwater. And every time I had to go up, they shouted at me through the side of the tank, breathe out, breathe out, breathe out. Well, I didn't have much left. And I went whoosh, like this. I didn't know why. And they told me after I'd done this for 3 days that if I had not done that, I would have died.
Why?
Because you get a clot in the bloodstream, and it travels up to the brain, and that's it.
And after that, they told you?
Afterwards, yes.
Something to do with the story you've told about not being able to be with your husband always. I understand, for example, when you were turning James Bond, she was allowed in...
No, I had to join them later. You know, when they did the Bouquet Island scenes in the beginning, these wonderful islands that come up, no women were allowed to come because in those days, believe it or not, it was full of pirates that came on shore and robbed people and raped people and killed people. So,
and now it's a resort, isn't it?
Yeah, now, and there was no sort of sanitary facilities either. It was very, very rough country.
You felt miserable.
And it's only for 24 years.
I know, because Omar told me he felt miserable 2 years in the desert doing Lawrence of Arabia.
No, Lawrence of Arabia, I mean, that was a different thing. He was a year in the desert.
Yes.
And they were living in tents and everything. We were living in a small village. They tried to make it comfortable. And we would go to these islands every day in a boat. And there was only one woman. And that was what we call the...
She must have worked quite a lot, eh?
Oh, she did. Oh, she did. But she was what we call the continuity girl. Script girl.
Yes.
And you have to have.
Yes.
And she was marvelous, very famous. The only woman. And every day we would go out on these boats to this island, this extraordinary island in the sea of Thailand, which was my island in the story. Phuket was the village, and the island was called Phang Na. It's called the James Bond Island now. And we would go out every day, and we saw these houses on bamboo in the water. And the first day I said, what's going on there? Who are the people who live there? And there was somebody said something in Thai. I didn't understand it. And I said, what did he say? He said, They're pirates. I said, real pirates, yes, drugs, prostitution, and they raid and rape, as my wife said, and attack people and kill people. And I thought, well,
That's
a very good
refreshing.
yes, it's refreshing, it's encouraging. And that was the reason why I was not allowed to take my wife, and nobody was allowed to take their wives or relatives at all for the first 10 days to 2 weeks.
Here's a scene from James Bond and the man with the golden gun.
If a good address is necessary, as your referee, I will administer it myself. I do not expect wounds, only a clean kill. On my command, each contestant will take 20 pesos. Are you ready, Monsieur Scaramanga?
Ready?
Are you ready, Monsieur Bond?
Ready?
I will now begin the count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20.
You vanished there, now you're here. I love James Bond films.
Ian Fleming was my cousin.
You don't say.
Yeah. So
you know everything about James Bond?
Everything. And do you know where he got the name from?
No.
He had a house in Jamaica. In fact, it was called GoldenEye. That was the name of the house. That's why they've called the new Bond film GoldenEye. And he had a great friend, an American, who was a bird expert, ornithologist, we say. And Ian was writing a book, the first James Bond book, which I think was Casino Royale, I think.
I had a program called Casino Royale.
Well, that was the first book, I think, that he wrote.
So he copied it from me, perhaps?
He said probably did, yes. He probably got it out very quickly. Yes. He's a bit worried, I expect. They probably told him that, you were this young genius writing a book.
Well, mine was a show.
He was talking to this man one day, this friend, this neighbor, who died about a year or two ago at the age of about 88, 89 in America. And he said, I'm writing a story about a whatever, and I'm going to have a hero, I'm going to have a leading character. Do you mind if I borrow your name? And James Bond said, no, go ahead.
He actually existed.
Actually gave him permission to use his name. And James Bond wrote a book, and I've got it. Birds of the West Indies. So that's where he got it from.
Nice.
Now, this picture you saw just now, the character was called Scaramanga. Scaramanga is a Greek name. The docks in Athens are called Scaramanga. And I have met a Mr. Scaramanga. But the reason that Ian called this character Scaramanga was because when he was at school at Eton College in England, there was a man there called Scaramanga whom he hated. And so he thought, I'll make him the villain in my next